If you're trading insolvent right now, guys, and you get it wrong, you could lose everything. I've seen directors lose the house, some even end up in prison. Now, many directors are finding themselves in this exact position, and most of them have no idea how dangerous it can be. Now, here's the truth. If you act too late or you make the wrong move, you could end up in a lot of trouble. Now, I have helped thousands of directors over the years navigate wrongful trading, fraudulent trading, and trading while insolvent. And I've seen directors protect themselves and get through it. And I've seen directors leave it too late and lose everything. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what wrongful trading is, how it's different from fraudulent trading. We're going to talk about trading insolvently, and most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself before it's too late. Chris Worden, Director First, welcome back to the channel. Right, first of all, what do we mean by trading while insolvent? So, well, here's the definition. It means insolvency means your company can't pay its debts as they fall due, or the liabilities of the company are greater than the assets. And that's the cash flow and the balance sheet tests. Now, there's the signs that you might be trading insolvently are you're constantly missing supplier payments, like you're dodging creditor calls, you're struggling to pay HMRC, and that can be VAT, PAYE or corporation tax. You never pay it on time, or you're constantly in a time to pay arrangement. Another sign is you're constantly relying on extended credit just to stay afloat. And the more serious signs that you're trading insolvent are you've had CCJ registered, you've had a stat demand, or in the worst case, you've had a winding up petition presented. Now, here's the important bit. Just because you're insolvent today doesn't mean that you need to pull the plug tomorrow, contrary to what a lot of insolvency firms will tell you. Because there are plenty of businesses that go through an insolvent period and they come out the other side. Really what you've got to do is, obviously, you've got to make sure you're taking advice and you've got to be acting in the creditor's interests. But if you have a realistic plan to turn things around, that's the difference. And that's the difference between somebody who's a responsible director and a reckless one. So let me explain this one to you. Let's say you are a business that is struggling to pay HMRC, your revenues have fell, obviously costs are going up, a lot of fixed costs in the business are about to go up in April, but you have work booked in for Q3. And when that work gets done and you get paid, you'll be able to pay all your responsibilities. So you might be insolvent right now, but you've got a really good reason as to why to keep going, because you know in Q3 you've got a big job that's going to pay you. Or similar scenario, you're on really long payment terms from your client, and although you're really struggling right now, you know in 90 or 100 days the money will land and it'll put you on a firm footing again. Now, I want to move on to what wrongful trading is, okay? Because this is the word that keeps directors awake at night. Now, the definition is wrongful trading happens when you carry on trading knowing, or ought to have known, that there was no reasonable prospect of avoiding insolvency, okay? Now, let's just give a real life example. A business has no hope of recovering. They are hundreds of thousands of pounds in debt with HMRC. Revenue has fell off a cliff. Orders have slowed down. That director knows there's no way he's going to be able to get this back on an even keel. He's past the point of no return. Now, your director's duties are changing now, okay? Before you sort of become insolvent, you go to work and you act in the best interest of shareholders. But once you're insolvent and past the point of no return, the duty is to protect your creditors and not make creditors' positions worse. So I want to give you some tips on what wrongful trading looks like. A key one is taking customer deposits, knowing you cannot fulfill orders, okay? If you are taking deposits off clients, knowing they're never going to get their product or service, big red flag. Big problem for you coming down the line. Another thing is running up supplier debts knowing that you can't pay it. Like, I mean, not only that's going to cause you serious reputational damage with your suppliers, that is a big red flag for wrongful trading. Another one that people mistake is delaying filing for insolvency. Now, I remember for me, I was in denial for a few months. Like, I did not want to admit that I was going down the pan. But a lot of directors, I mean, I'll hear it time and time again. When I'm talking to someone, I'll say, what's the outcome that you're looking for? And they might say, well, Chris, I just want to keep going. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to close the business. I get it. Nobody really wants to liquidate a company they've worked so hard for. So what I'll do is, you know, let's have that example that they owe £500,000 to HMRC. And I'll go, well, reasonably, how long do you need to pay that £500,000 off? And they might say to me, well, I might be able to do it in 4 years. Well, I'd return that and go, listen, it's very unlikely the HMRC are going to give you 4 years. They might say to me, well, I might be able to do it in 2 years. Okay. And I'll go, right, well, let's have a look at your cash flow. What do you need to be making per month to be able to pay that 25 grand a month to HMRC and still be able to continue to trade and pay everyone else and pay other HMRC bills as they fall due? And they'll go, well, I don't think I can do that. Now, in that scenario, you've got to hit the director with some hard truths. It's not a case of if you go into insolvency, it's when. Because there's no hope, based on what they've told me, that they're going to get round this. Now, there's some quite serious consequences of wrongful trading. And probably one of the most serious is you could be personally liable for the company's debts. And specifically, you could be made personally liable for the company's debts incurred after the point you become insolvent. So, you know, when you sat there waiting for a miracle to happen, I get it, I've been there, you're in serious risk. Yeah, obviously could be risk of disqualified, you know, directors can be disqualified up to 15 years. You could face legal action. Now, I want to try and give you some tips on how to avoid wrongful trading and accusations that you're trading wrongfully. First thing is, listen, if anything I've said so far has resonated, take professional advice, like ASAP, give us a call. If you don't like me, speak to someone else, but you've got to take insolvency advice quickly. That shows that you're acting responsibly. Another thing I'd suggest to everybody is keep detailed board minutes, okay? Now, you might be a one-man band, you might never have had a board meeting. So write yourself an email and email yourself justifying the decisions that you're making. And that's why speaking to an insolvency professional could help, because like we can email you, you can email back, and it's like a record. Try and keep your financial records up to date. You know, the monthly profit and losses are really, really going to help you. And stop paying yourself dividends if you're insolvent. Right, I want to dive into this for a second. Most directors are told to take a combination of salary through the payroll and the rest they take as it's actually a drawing in anticipation of a dividend at the end of the year. So easy example, £1,000 a month through salary, £3,000 a month as a drawing that you call a dividend. If you're insolvent, you cannot take a dividend because you can only take a dividend out of a profit, okay? So anything that you take that's not salary out of that business when you're insolvent is going to be classified as a director's loan or a legal dividend that becomes a director's loan that you're going to be asked to pay back. So if you really believe that your business can get through this after you've spoken to someone like me, and you need to take money from the business, you can still pay yourself from that business, but not as a dividend. This is the time that you perhaps need to convert and start paying yourself fully through the payroll. Yes, you're going to incur a cost up front, but you cannot take a dividend while you're insolvent, okay? I want you, at this stage, you've got to make creditors' interests your number one priority. You cannot make their positions worse. Listen, I've worked with tons of directors, but I remember one guy, he was probably 6 months behind with the VAT, you know, wages were late, they kept borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Like we stepped in and we made a plan with HMRC, okay? And it was actually something called a company voluntary arrangement. And what that did is it put all their debts into one pot and they were allowed to pay it back over a 5-year period. It gave them breathing space. And the key thing with this guy, he acted early. Now, I want to move on to the big one. Let's talk about fraudulent trading. This is serious. It is a criminal offence. And fraudulent trading is when a company continues to trade with the intent to defraud creditors or for any other fraudulent purpose. Now, what does it actually mean in practice? It's like lying to suppliers to get goods on credit, knowing you can't pay. Taking deposits or full payment from customers with zero of intention of delivering. Faking accounts. So actually faking your year-end accounts, putting them on company's house to increase credit terms, or lying on loan applications. Now, the thing that's important is intent that's key here. If you are knowingly misleading people, you're in deep trouble. And to be fair, you deserve everything that comes at you, because there are serious consequences to fraudulent trading. Now, you're more likely to be made personally liable for company debts. You're more likely to be disqualified. But because it's criminal, this can lead to actually prison. You could end up in jail for fraudulent trading. And I want to point out the differences between wrongful and fraudulent trading. And it's really, wrongful trading is, listen, Mr. Blogs, you should have known better. Fraudulent trading is you knew and you did it anyway. Now, I read up on cases all the time. There was once a director who, very recently, he was taking payments for services that he had zero chance of delivering, okay? The business had been insolvent for many, many times, for lots and lots of time, and the liquidator obviously referred it to the insolvency service for disqualification, and one of the directors actually faced criminal charges. It isn't pretty, it is super serious. Now, I want to sort of skirt back to trading while insolvent, and I want to sort of talk to, you know, can you turn it around? Because it's really important. Trading while insolvent, it doesn't automatically mean you've done something wrong. Now, a business can be insolvent and recover, but you've got to act quickly. You've got to still make decisions that protect creditors, and you've got to work with professionals like us who know what they're doing and can talk you through options. And there's lots of options. One of them is really informal. Like you speak to creditors and you organise extend repayment terms. Like the most talked about one is a time to pay arrangement with HMRC. And that's where you get all your returns up to date, you speak to HMRC and you agree to pay what you owe them over a period of time. Most companies should get 12 months, and you can include corporation tax, PAYE, VAT, all the above. You know, if you've got a good compliance history, you might be able to negotiate 3 years with time to pays with HMRC. Very unlikely, okay? Some of the key things to understand when you're in a time to pay arrangement is you've got to keep up to date with current arrears. And if you stop paying your time to pay arrangement, and you miss a payment, or you don't pay your next VAT bill, your time to pay arrangement defaults. You're in breach, and the revenue are going to be on your back. I touched on it earlier, CVAs, company voluntary arrangements, and that's where you have a business that's viable, but it's got some really problematic short-term cash flow difficulties. And a CVA is like, It's a full proposal to your creditors, and it's like a story as to how your business is going to get out of the muck, okay? It's not for everybody. You've got to get 75% of your creditors to approve a CVA, and the idea is you pay everybody back, but over a longer period of time. Again, you need specialist advice on CVAs. It's not for everyone, but it's ideal for businesses who might be in haulage. You've got an O licence to protect, or they've got a care home and, you know, they're registered with CQC. Another option is administration. And what that does is, an administration is like a wall of protection around your business. Your business is insolvent at the moment. You believe there's a viable way forward. An administration is a wall of protection around it, while an administrator helps you sort out the mess. And that could be, I had one example this week. A guy is owed an absolute fortune in. He's got some short-term cash flow difficulties. He made a bit of an error by putting a loan out that's not come back yet. There's a delay, but it will come back. Now, one of the creditors have got fed up and actually issued a winding up petition. Now, this is really problematic because if it gets advertised, what happens is the other creditors could jump on with the winding up petition, and it become very difficult to solve. So one of his options is to go to court and basically say to the judge, listen, I need a X amount of time protection while I get this money back from overseas. And it goes into administration if the court approves it. The administrator will take over for a period of time. And when the money comes in, everyone gets paid out and the business comes out of administration. Another thing you'll have heard a lot of is these pre-packs where a business is sold back to the directors before the administrator takes the appointment, okay? The key thing for dealing with this stuff is you've got to have a plan. You've got to document every decision you've made and why it protects the creditors. Because I want to remind you of your director's duties, right? And I want to make it crystal clear. Once you're insolvent, okay, can't pay your debts when they fall due, liabilities are more than the assets, or someone's taken legal action against you, your duties change. When you're not insolvent, you want to go out there and make money for shareholders. You know, it's in the best interest of shareholders. But once you're insolvent, you have got to act in the creditor's best interests. So I want to give you a few practical steps to stay protected. Please keep accounts up to date, right? The statutory stuff on Companies House is not much use to you, right? You can't make decisions on your business off statutory accounts, but it shows that you're taking your responsibilities seriously. If you're insolvent, stop paying dividends, right? Literally, stop it now and don't take any bonuses. Change the way you're paying yourself. You need accurate management information. You need it all the time, but when the shit's hitting the fan, you really, really need accurate information so you can make better decisions. Stop taking customer deposits unless you can deliver the product. And another thing that people get tripped up with is don't favour paying one creditor over another unless there's a bloody good reason for it, because you could face yourself being accused of making a preference for payment, because it's another thing like a liquidator or an administrator will look at. Please get independent professional advice before you make any decisions, okay? Remember, if you don't like funny looking bold chaps from the north of England, there are other excellent firms, not quite as good as mine, but please, please, please do your due diligence. And communication is key. Talk to creditors, be honest, work out payment plans if possible, keep records, take board minutes. Remember, if you don't have a normal board meeting, just an email to yourself documenting your thinking. Get some cash flow forecasts done. When things are really tight, that 13-week rolling cash flow is super important. If you don't know what a cash flow is, at the most basic level, it's a spreadsheet showing what's coming in and what's going out and what you expect to come in. Now, if you ignore warning signs, if you keep trading recklessly or try and pull a fast one, here's what's going to happen. I think you're going to be made personally liable for some or all of the debts. It's highly likely you're going to get disqualified from being a director. If you overstep the mark, you could end up with criminal charges. Criminal charges can lead to prison. You could lose your house, your savings, not to mention your reputation. But it does not have to be that way. If you take action early, take advice, and above all, protect creditors' interests, you'll protect yourself too. I have helped thousands of directors over the years avoid the worst outcomes, and that's why we're called Director First. So, I hope you found the video useful. If you've got any questions, put them in the comment section. I will respond to them personally. If you want free, independent and impartial advice, pick the phone up today. Thanks for your time, Chris Worden, Director First.